Millions of businesses just started accepting Bitcoin as payment. Let's dive into why this is such a big deal. So this chart here from River shows the new adoption with 5 million users of Square being automatically onboarded to accepting Bitcoin as payment. Now, Bitcoin payments are on by default for all Square merchants, which is just a huge amount of businesses. And it's a big deal because it shows the use case of Bitcoin, not just as a savings technology or holding to get rich later. It's now being used as money, and these businesses don't have to opt into the feature. They can even choose to still receive all their payments in dollars on their end, but you on your end can pay for Bitcoin at any business that uses Square, which is probably a lot more businesses than you would expect. The Square terminal is super popular, and it's a very simple, easy to use POS system for businesses. And like I said, the biggest, most bullish part about this is they can just choose to accept dollars. And, this might incentivize more people to keep some of that Bitcoin, right? If someone chooses to pay with Bitcoin, maybe businesses will be inclined to just try it out, start building a little bit of Bitcoin savings. And I think this is huge because I think it makes people more bought into the mission when they have a little bit of skin in the game, right? They have a little bit of Bitcoin sitting on their company's balance sheet now because, you watching this video decided to, go to your local coffee shop and use Bitcoin as payment. And that business may have just stacked their first sats ever, which I think is just super huge. And, people skeptical about Bitcoin are always like, well, I just don't know if it'll ever work. It'll never be used as money. Maybe I'll learn more about it when it's more integrated, when I can actually use it. Well, here clearly you can see with this chart, 5 million businesses now accept Bitcoin as payment by default. So, and it's also really easy within your Bitcoin exchange with something like River or Strike, which I have referral links down for both Bitcoin exchanges below. It's super easy to just use Lightning. So this whole thing is enabled by the Bitcoin Lightning Network, and a lot of these exchanges have Lightning features built in. So it's really easy to use. You will just, if you pay with Bitcoin, it should generate like a QR code. You'll just go in with your Bitcoin exchange and say send Bitcoin, and then there should be like a scan QR code option. It's really simple. These exchanges also make it really easy to report taxes. That is one of the, downsides and hindrances to Bitcoin adoption, is that, even if you buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin directly, using it as money, it still counts as a capital gain event potential. It could also be a capital loss, if you bought that Bitcoin at a higher price. But that's definitely something to keep in mind, is that it counts as a Bitcoin sale when you purchase something with Bitcoin, which, doesn't make sense, but that's the way it is. I think one of the next biggest hurdles for Bitcoin adoption would be exempting Bitcoin for taxes on small payments, like day-to-day payments. It doesn't make sense if you're using Bitcoin as your preferred currency, your preferred money that you save in and want to spend in, right? It doesn't make sense that you would get taxed on that, right? You don't get taxed if you converted a weak currency to dollars, and then you wouldn't get taxed on the amount that the dollar appreciated against that other currency, right? In the same way, I don't think Bitcoin payments should be taxed, but that's the way it is. But these exchanges, like I said, make it really easy. You should get all your forms within that exchange. But yeah, I think this is super bullish news for Bitcoin adoption. And for people skeptical about Bitcoin, just challenge them to try this out. Send them a River referral link. Just tell them to, buy $10 worth of Bitcoin and then spend it at their local coffee shop, which probably has a Square terminal. They don't have to hold it if, they think their $10 is going to disappear and go to zero. right? They can just spend it and actually see how it works. And the other camp of Bitcoin skeptics are the shitcoiners, the altcoiners that say Bitcoin is too slow to be a method of payment. Well, the Bitcoin Lightning Network is amazing, and there's other Bitcoin layer 2s as well that allow for scaling of Bitcoin payments with very low fees. Also, another super bullish part about this that I didn't even mention was the fact that businesses save massively on credit card fees when accepting Bitcoin as payments. Credit card fees, as a merchant, when you accept credit card payments, you're paying a pretty big fee on that. With Bitcoin, there's no fee, right? There's not even network fees with these transactions because of the robustness of the Lightning Network. So just like super bullish all around. I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited to, see what businesses in my area I can spend some sats at. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Like and subscribe, all that stuff if you want to support the channel. And as always, together, let's work, save, and build a brighter future with Bitcoin. See you in the next video.